Good morning, YouTubes. Actually, it's good afternoon. How's everyone today? Hope you're well. You join me on a chilly autumn, late autumn. There's still a lot of leaves on the trees, but it is getting later in the year. We're towards December, and obviously the temperatures are drawing in to the point where I've got my heated kit on. Although I did only put my jeans on, my hood jeans, so it is a bit chilly. But the jacket's on low, and I've not put my gloves on yet, but there's still plenty of time for that. So I thought today I would tell you a little story about the RS, because this channel's been going for, well, say the channel's been going for quite a while, but I didn't really post stuff on it. You know, you just create a YouTube channel and you don't put much on it. But since I got the RS, thing of beauty, trusty less rusty, I quite enjoyed putting videos on my time with the RS and other bikes that I've got and stuff like that, and different tales. But I thought I would put a full story, I guess, of my time with the RS. Now, this was one of those. Where should we go? Should we go down here? I haven't plotted a route because, unfortunately, oh, this is tiny. TomTom Go Ride doesn't seem to be working anymore. Oh, this is a tiny little road, isn't it? I've been down here before, but it's a bit greasy in the middle. Look at that. Yeah, Go Ride doesn't seem to be working, which is a bit annoying because it was my favourite app by a long, long way. So I tried Kalamoto. Yeah, Kalamoto just says, pay me some money. And I don't really like paying money on stuff if I can get something for free. So all I've got is just the normal Google Maps on at the moment. I haven't got a route plotted, because I used to quite enjoy putting the random route in Go Ride, and it just takes me places. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject on the RS. So, it was one of those late night, couple of beers things, and I sort of thought about getting an RS. So I was on the RS page on Facebook. Was it the RS page? It might be Small Bikes Big Adventures. It was one of them anyway. And a good friend of mine, John, had an RS when we were 17, and I always quite liked it, but I was into LCs. I wasn't really into, you know, slow single cylinder 4-strokes. But I always liked the look of it. I always thought it was quite a smart little bike, and it always got in places. And it was one of those ones you think, oh, do you know what, I fancy one of those one day. So anyway, I'm sat on Facebook, and it's a bit late at night, you know, when you had a couple of beers. And anyway, this RS crops up in Scotland, and the story was a guy bought it brand new, and he rode it around for 6 years. He bought it brand new in 1980. 1986, for reasons unknown, he parked it in his garage. So it's 1986, August of 2023, would it have been? Yeah, August of 2023. This guy now, obviously he's a bit older, so he's probably getting on a bit, walks into, I think it's a powder coaters, and says to a guy, "Do you know anyone that likes motorbikes?" And he says, "Oh, my brother likes motorbikes." He said, "Because I've got one tucked in the back of my garage. I haven't used it for donkey's years. Would he be interested?" Anyway, long story short, he gets hold of it. This is Bikey, who you will all know from Small Bikes Big Adventures and stuff like that. He resurrects a lot of bikes, and he likes his little bikes, does a lot of trips on them. He's got a bigger bike as well. I think he's got a Beamer, but he loves his small bikes. So anyway, Mikey gets it. As you can imagine, it was in a bit of a poor state of repair. The motor was seized, tyres were shot, you know, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so Mikey goes about rebuilding it. Where should we go? Let's go right. So Mikey rebuilds it, new piston, new cam chain, all that sort of stuff. Gets it running, puts a set of tyres on it, sticks it on eBay. Not eBay, Facebook Marketplace. So I thought, you know what, I like that story, I'll have a bit of that. So we have a couple of messages backwards and forwards, and I agreed to buy it, so I transferred in the money. Well, to me, living in Kent, Scotland, yeah, it's a bit of a distance away, but a good mate of mine, John, funny enough, the guy that owned the RS in the old days, lives in Penrith. So I thought, John, I'll catch a train to Penrith, and then me and John, we can jump in his car, we'll scoot over the border, we'll pick it up, I'll ride it home. Sounds easy, doesn't it? Yeah, except, let's get down Froston Lane. Except I messaged Mikey and said, oh, by the way, whereabouts do you live? He says, I live in Thurso. So, I've never heard of that. I stuck it in Google Maps. Well, Thurso is literally 5 minutes from John O'Groats. At which point I was like, oh, okay. So I put it in the map. I said, I've got a mate of mine that lives in Penrith, and he said, Penrith? Well, that's about 8-9 hours from me. So I was like, well, that's definitely not a day, is it? That's not a pop over the border job. So, long story short, Mikey knew a guy that could transport it for a reasonable price, so he got it transported to over the bumps to Penrith, to my mate John's house, and then I caught the train to Penrith. John picked me up at the station, we went back to his place, and we spent a very enjoyable afternoon into the evening fettling the RS. I bought some tools with me, and I brought my riding kit with me, and basically we fettled it using all the tools that I had with me, so that I knew that I knew what I could fix with what I'd got. Yeah, and then proceeded to ride it home from Penrith. Now the slight sort of addition to that story was when I told Mikey this, he goes, oh, you'll enjoy running it in coming back from Cumbria. And I said, running it in? He said, I said, how many miles have we done then? He said, I don't know, what's it say on the trip meter? And we looked on the trip meter, it was like 2.1 miles or something. So that is all the mileage the bike had done since 1986. And basically, oh, where are we going to go here? Let's go left. Basically, Mikey had rebuilt it, he'd run it up and down his road a few times and then sold it. So the first probably 50-60 miles that I did was on little A roads, or sorry, B roads in the Lake District. Roads like this, really. Getting the revs up and down, getting the gearbox up and down, and basically just checking it all over before I started to increase the speed. And the plan was to ride it to Worcestershire first day, which was a couple of 100 miles, stay overnight at my friend's house, Simon, and then ride from Worcestershire back home again. So that's what I did. Now the only time I had any issues, Woodchurch, I know where I am now. I've done a bit of a weird loop here. The only time I had any issues was Ormskirk in Lancashire. I pulled to fill up. It was probably the first fuel tank, I guess. Well, I think I pulled to just check the oil levels and see what it was like. Anyway, it was pissing fuel out the carb. So got my tools out, stripped the carb down at the side of the petrol station forecourt, and then just adjusted the float, gave it a clean. Basically I banged the float up so it was a wildly different setting that it should have been, so it just put extra pressure on the valve, and that seemed to stem the flow, so that worked. But yeah, that day loads and loads of bikes came in and out that petrol station forecourt. Not a single one stopped to ask if I was alright. Let's go down here, shall we? Dimchurch. Yeah, not a single one stopped to say, need a hand, mate, or even, you know, do you want me to grab you a coffee from the garage? Nothing. So yeah, I was a bit pissed off about that, you know, because in my day, if a bike was broken down, it quite obviously broken down. You know, I've got a carburettor in 100 pieces, I've got tools all over the place, I've got the petrol tank off, I've got the airbox out, I've got the battery out, because that's what you need to get the airbox out. It was in a lot of pieces. Yeah, no one stopped. So as I think I said in the first video, bikers of Ormskirk, you can fuck off. That's probably a bit harsh, but that was my feeling at the time anyway. So yeah, then A roads all the way down. I think I sat at sort of 50-55 top whack maybe. and buzzed it down to Simon's place, where it needed a little bit of oil, cut under a bit of oil. So Simon had some oil, so we chucked some in, stayed the night at his place, had a nice bit of food, couple of beers, catch up, and then rode it home the following day. Now I rode it probably as far as the M25, I think, on the A roads, and then I thought, you know what, I'm quite confident now, let's bang it on the motorway. So I did. So from about, I would say from about the M3 junction, I hit the motorway. Oh, what have we got up here? We've got a tractor coming. That looks big. That's quite wide here. I'll stop here. It's nice and wide. Or at least I'll slow down for him. He needs a bit more space than I do. Yeah, so I then hit the motorway and sat at probably 65 mile an hour the whole way. And it ran like a dream. It ran absolutely beautifully. And then got home and basically just started doing all the little bits that it needed. The standard tyres were Chinese, Chin or something like that, and they were pretty appalling, especially the wet. I think, you know, I mean, the amount of times I nearly crashed is probably an exaggeration, but there was one time where I nearly did, literally just the back end started overtaking the front on a roundabout. You know, we're not talking about this bike having a lot of horsepower. So they went. I did put some Trails tyres on because I did a bit of green laning on it, but then it's too nice for that. So the Trails tyres went, and I put some Metzlers on. Spent some proper money putting some Metzlers on. And then I probably had this for about 8-9 months, and another RS cropped up on the Owners Club page, and it was in blue. This was originally black, this bike. It was in blue, and the one that John had when he was a lad was in blue, and I always liked the blue, but it had the rare, very rare hen's teeth Honda bikini bearing, and quite a few nice little additions, like the wheels have been relaced with stainless spokes. The yeah, what side of the road are you going to sit to? Yeah, the rear wheel was a conversion, and it was a Suzuki GN250 rear wheel, which uses a proper cush drive. And Frank, the guy that owned that bike, was an engineer, and he machined up a new wheel spindle, a shouldered nut for it, and basically he'd made the GN250 rear wheel with a proper cush drive fit the RS swing arm. Everything lined up, everything was absolutely perfect, and the bike rides as it should have done when Honda built it. It is so smooth, that cush drive back end. It is just absolutely a transformation, rather than the I call them cotton wheels, the round rubbers that are sleeved inner and outer, like a bush on an old car. They just don't really work. I mean, they take a little bit of damping, but they don't really work. Oh, there's mud all over the road. And I also put a new chain sprocket kit on. I changed the gearing so it revs just a little bit lower when you're cruising at speed, and I put a gold X-ring DID chain on because, well, only the best. So yeah, I will pull over a little bit so you can have a good look at it. But since then, it had done 7,500 miles. I've done just coming up to well, 11,000 miles. So I've done 3,500 miles on this thing, which is more than I've done on the rest of my bikes put together. Should we go down there? Joe, I'll get around the corner first before I do a U-ey, just in case. Yeah, spin it here. Yeah, I've got no idea where I'm going, but yeah, the new chain sprockets and the cush drive just make it ride absolutely beautifully, so smoothly. And I keep on top of things like valve clearances and balance chain adjustments, stuff like that. And obviously on top of the oil changes, which I change every 1,000 miles. But I've been places on this. You know, as I say, I've ridden it back from Penrith. I went to Wales on it. in the summer with, but funny enough, with John and Simon, the two guys that helped me with the collection of it. Rode it to Wales with luggage, all around North Wales and back again, and it is just a great little bike. I can't ever imagine me selling this. I've got no need to. As long as I can kick it over and ride it, I'll be keeping it. You know, and I've said that about a few bikes, I've always ended up selling them, but I just can't imagine selling this. You know, let's pull over here, look. Let's pull over this gate, shall we? The old farm track. Oh, there's a bloody farmer down there about to come out with his car. He'll probably get the or I'll be halfway through filming something and he'll pull up. Get all fire land. Let's find somewhere else. That's a shame, because that looked like a nice little spot. But yeah, economy wise, this does, I don't think I've never had anything less than 70 to the gallon. And where does this go? Tame Lane width restriction. And generally speaking, it does close on to 90. I've had over 90 miles to the gallon out of this, which, if you think, for a carburetted bike, 44 years old now, so it's historic registered, so there's no tax or MOT to pay. My insurance, I think, was it £60 something a year? So this costs nothing to sit in the workshop. It's not depreciating, and if it is, you know, it's by bugger all. If anything, I think this will start to appreciate. There's a real cult following for these little bikes. People absolutely love them for good reason. You know, and I can see what John saw in it all those years ago when we were kids. So let's pull over here, shall we? How firm does this look? That doesn't look very firm, actually. Let's move up a little bit out of the mud. I'll soon see if anything's coming. Just unplug my kit. But yeah, there we go. The RS was black, is now blue. I did blow a bit of paint over the motor because obviously it was looking a bit scruffy, so that's done. The Frank bike, which I call the blue bike, that was originally blue, but I pinched the paperwork off. He had Hagon shocks, and the fork extensions were in better condition, so I pinched those as well. Krauser panniers, I only got a set of Krauser panniers that came with it from Frank, so they'll go on there for a trip because they look really good. But this is a GN250 back wheel, as you can see. If you can see in there, that's what he's made up. Absolutely beautiful job as well, well machined, lovely. But yeah, locking toolbox. Grease nipples on the swing arm, I greased those the other day. LED bulb just to keep the current down a little bit, and then the old Metzler tyres. So it is a thing of beauty. One of my favourite things is this top box. I had the rack, well, this is the black rack off of the blue bike. I was after the top box and I was helping my next door neighbour's daughter. My next door neighbour was he went to a care home, unfortunately. He's very old, but this was in the shed, and she said, yeah, take it, my dad will be really happy for you to have that. So that was from Tony next door, my next door neighbour. Really happy about that because it fits the bike perfectly. And there's a sticker I made up for our 40th trip. Me, John and Simon ZX7R, which he took as well. So yeah, there we go. RS. So I'm going to carry on riding because it's a nice sunny day. As usual, folks, if you're riding, stay safe. If you're not riding, watch these crap videos, and I'll catch you on the next adventures of RS and about. But yeah, the story how I got the RS, thing of beauty. I'll see you all soon. Take care.